Howdy, folks. You know what time it is. If you see the hat, you know what time it is. It's story time. This is going to go back to, I reckon, about 18 years ago. I was living up there in Bath County, Virginia, and I had decided I was going to relocate to Southwest Florida. Well, woohoo, that doesn't sound pretty. But when you don't have two nickels to rub together and you trying to travel that far, it's not a pretty sight. I did like to drive, I still like to drive, let me show you the steering wheel here. I like to drive, but I like to drive at night. I don't like all that chaos during the day, and it's not a G-money thing. So I was going from Delaware, or excuse me, from Virginia. I kind of bounced around from Delaware to Maryland, a little bit in that region, but I do apologize. I was living in Virginia, so I decided, it's time for me to go south. But like I kid you not, I had like peanuts in my pocket. That was about it, and so I gets the road tripping south and had to go south, and you just kept driving south. That's all you do when you're heading south. You just got to keep going south. So I never forget. It was late at night. I want to say it was probably, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning. I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, but it got really, really foggy, and I got off. I thought I saw the sign said to take the interstate this way, and I get off, and next thing I know, I'm just in a big foggy mess, and all of a sudden I knew my Ford Bronco was like boop down in this ditch. I'm like, oh heck, that's not a good thing, G money. So I get out and look at it. I'm like, yeah, even with 4-wheel drive, I'm not getting out of that. So I was a little perplexed on what I should do. I'm in a place I don't know anything about them Gamecock type people, so I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just starts walking down the road, walking down the road. I probably walked about 2 miles down the road, and I realized I'm walking down the road to nowhere. So I turn around and I walk another 2 miles back down the road, assuming by now the police would have seen my vehicle there and probably done towed it out of there. But no, I walked by that, and no, it's still there. So I decided I'm going to walk the other direction because I had a 50-50 chance the first time. I walk about not even 500 yards the other way. Oh yeah, there's a truck stop. There's a little convenience store on the other side. And I'm like, oh Lordy, I done walked all that distance for nothing. So I'm hanging out outside this convenience store now. Mind you, it's probably like 3ish in the morning. Uh, Nobody wants to talk to any wandering soul outside of a convenience store in the boonies of South Carolina, looking for, you know, hypothetical assistance, which I just needed somebody with a pickup truck and a chain or a tow strap just trying to help me get out of there. But so that wasn't working too good. So I go over to the little truck stop over there, and right next to the truck stop was this one of these little truck stop diners. So I get up there, and I kid you not, it's every bit of like 3:30 in the morning by now, and I'm kind of like, I'm ticked off because I'm hungry and I just want a cup of coffee. I just want to keep on traveling south. So I get to the door, and the door is locked. There's one of these how some of those diner ladies are real like, attractive and friendly, country friendly. She comes over and unlocks the door, and that's must have been how bad of a place it was with this little redneck truck stop. So uh, she lets me in. There's one feller in there. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. One feller in there. He is sleeping with his head down on the table. I tell her what my problem is. She says, "Well, I can wake this, I can wake this guy up, and I'm sure he can help you." And I said, no, I looked over at him. He looked like he was part of a motorcycle club. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if we need to do all that. She goes, no, no, he just taking a little nap. I'm like, oh man, I don't. And next thing I know, she wakes him up, and she's telling him, not even asking him, pretty much telling him, like whatever his name, like Billy Bob or whatever his name was, you need to help this guy out and everything. So I'm like, oh hell, I'm like, hell, man, like I'm not feeling too comfortable about this whole situation. I kid you not, the next 60 seconds of my life, I thought was going to be the last 60 seconds of my life. We He ends up paying the bill, and what he had, whatever his little breakfast was, and his coffee, and probably paid for some nap time too. I don't know how that worked, but the we walk out. He was in this old pickup truck. I'll never forget. It was like a two-tone. It was like a sky blue almost. I don't know. My color is not the greatest on blues, but like blue and white, and it was like I want to say it was like a 1972 Chevy type pickup, like one of the oldest things. It was like a rust bucket. So I gets in the passenger seat, and he's the only vehicle in the parking lot. Who pulls up two parking spaces from us? Here comes the sheriff, deputy or the sheriff. I don't know if it was at that time of night. I'm sure it was a deputy. The sheriff's probably sound asleep. So the feller looks over at me like, oh, bearded up, biker looking feller. He says, "Are you legal?" I'm like, "Am I? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm legal." And then he looks over at me, and then he looks over at the sheriff, and he looks back at me and goes, "Well, I'm not." So I'm thinking like, oh man, it's about to go down. I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. Next thing I know, we're backing out of this parking lot with this. I'm the legal guy with the unlegal guy that's just woke up out of a dead sleep trying to render assistance to G Money. So I'm thinking, oh man, this is not a good thing. So we go down the road, way down the road, and then he pulls up behind my. He takes a little gander at it. Next thing I know, he's going down this real long dirt road. I'm telling you, it's like Murderer's Road, dirt road type place. And I'm like, all right. I had my hand on the handle, and I'm like, all right, if I got drop and roll at 30 miles an hour, that's what I'm gonna do, because this fella, I'm not playing these games. And next thing I know, there's this big like power plant looking thing. Couldn't see it from the road at all. And then all of a sudden on the other side, there's this like little dirt parking. I see him pulling in there, and I'm like, all right, I can jackrabbit out of here real quick. Next thing I know, he gets out, and I'm like, all right, this, something's about to go down. He gets out, pulls the tailgate down, pulls out this big old chain, and he's untangling this chain. I'm like, woo, doggy, I got lucky on that one. So I'm like, all right. Next thing I know, we go back down the road, and he's looking around, and I got my illegal Uber driver over here. He's going to pull me out of this ditch that I don't think this rust bucket's going to be. I really thought he was going to leave his bumper behind, but he gets up there, and we do the whole thing. Whoop, 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 pulls G Money out of the ditch. I said, thank you very much. I wish I had some money for you. I really, sincerely did not have any money for he was ended up being very nice at that point. He's like, no problem, man. I just like to help people out. I'm like, thank you. And inside, I'm thinking, thank you for not killing me. Thank you for not being a serial killer. I didn't say that all verbally, but, mentally, that's what I was going through my head. But anyway, you never know what's going to happen when you get in a vehicle with G Money. I just thought I'd share that story, and that's something that all my good stories from the old days. I wish I had some good stories nowadays, but I'm going to be working on that. I have to go out and do some stupid stuff here soon.